Hello ladies, my name is Sherry, as you well know, and we're going to work on the number 4 block for our quilt. The number 4 block is going to be the sun rays block, and I'm going to demonstrate one block for you. And what we want to talk about now is the cutting of the block. So again, as we've done on others, you'll see a lot of writing on our page because we decide what is going to be what color. So white, red, black, black. This helps you to know when you're cutting, what you're cutting, and keeping it all organized. Now for this block, it's important to note that you're going to have to make templates for A and B triangles from patterns on page 33. And this is the templates. You will use these to cut out part of your pattern. And Rick has cut some out for us here to show us. So we have B, peaky, and A, spike. Spike will be put on here, and you can cut all of them just like this, no problem. That's what spike's going to look like cut. Here's where it gets tricky. When you do the peaky, you're going to put it on your fabric, and you're going to cut out half of them with this right side up, and keep those together. And then you're going to cut half of them with your pattern reversed. And if you do not do this, it's not going to fit. You have to do it. So do half of them right side up, half of them not right side up. Okay? Okay, so once you've cut them out, you're going to bring your pieces, and you're going to see that the big one is going to go with the point going down. And then for the side pieces, you're going to do the small end up and the small end up. If you see there, and then that's going to make you a square block. By the way, I cut mine out with the Go Cutter. But if you didn't do them, like I said, where you rotated, do one upside down and do the other one right side up, then you're going to have that. It just won't fit. You have to do the right side up and right side down for cutting.
That's 4A or 4B triangle and 4B reversed triangle.
Yes.
In the directions.
So there you have that. Now let's walk over to the sewing machine. And I'm going to do one for you so we can see how that works. So I'm confused again. So
you got the point. So to make it a square, you're going to have the big part on the point. Big part of the little triangle on the point.
Which makes your square. So then you're going to fold it over this way and sew it, and we won't cover a whole bunch about 1/4 inch seams. I've beat that horse to death. But do your 1/4 inch seam. Sometimes that just doesn't want to line up right. But if you work with it, you'll get it for sure. I'm going to line that up with my 1/4 inch. Get my foot ready. And there we go. Then I'm just going to hold that out and finger press it so I can just look at it and see which way it goes and make sure I'm sewing the other one on right. Or should I press that first? I think I better. Yeah, you better press it or it may not fit right. So let's go to the ironing board. We're going to set that seam as usual. And then I'm going to press it open. This one is easy to do, but it's tricky. You just got to look at it and make sure that you're doing it correctly. Okay? So we're going to bring it back over here, and we know that our larger end goes down to the point. Now we're going to fold that one over, and we're going to sew that. And that's going to be a 1/4 inch seam. And how many are we making of these? I think 4.
4.
I'm gonna line that up. There we go. A little tiny off, but it's okay. Back to the ironing board. I'm gonna set my seam, then open it up. Check the back, make sure my seams look good. And then that's what you're gonna come out with. So you see you got your point going down and you got the big ends down here. So ladies, this is the time for you to pause because you wanna make 4 of these. Once you get those done, come back, and while you're doing that, I'll sew mine as well. Okay, I'm back. You should have finished making your 4 blocks, and this is what they're going to look like. And this is the way they're going to set into your block, which I've already done it. So you've got your points. One was backwards. Be careful for that because it happens. You want your points to turn in all 4 directions. Okay? So the step we just finished was step 1, and we're done with it. Now we're going to move on to step 2, where you're going to take your 4.5 inch C-square, which I've got red, if you'll see right there, and then my 4 2.5 inch D squares, which I've got marked black. Okay? Okay, I'm back, and you probably didn't know I was gone, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I made a big boo-boo, which I'm going to edit out, but I want you to know because everybody goofs up. So I've just spent a few minutes ripping seams and doing stuff and getting ready to put this back together the correct way. Here we go. So we've got our lines drawn, and now we're going to line it up like so, with our line going that way. And then we're going to do it again right here with our line going that way. And we're going to take that to the sewing machine. And remember, I removed my 1/4 inch foot. I'm back to a regular foot because we are sewing straight on this line. So all you want to do is line your foot up. And if you'll see, I've got my line right here in the middle. My needle's going to come down right on the line, and we're going to go all the way down. Okay, let's do it. I like to go slow so I can make sure it stays there. A little up, but it'll be alright. It'll be alright. I'm a it'll be alright kind of girl on some things. I mean, if you do it crazy, wrong, flipped, come on, fix it. And here we go again. We're going to line it up, make sure our needle comes down on the line, and we're going to sew it. Then we're going to look at it and make sure it's sewed correctly. And you can see there and there that it did. So we're going to come over here, and if you're measuring your 1/4 inch seams, then you can just line this up and get your 1/4 inch seam and cut it. Again, as I told you before, it's not real important. So for this kind of seam, I just eyeball that 1/4 inch and I cut it off. Then we're going to come over here and set our seams. And then open it up. And open it up. Check my seams in the back. And that's what it's going to look like. Okay? So you are going to need to finish this. We're going to do it again. So this time, is it going there that way?
Yeah.
This time we're going to line it up on the opposite ends, like so. You want your line going across that way. We're going to take it to the machine. And I'm going to straighten it up a little bit when I get it over here. Because you can see it's not really perfect. Oh, actually it's a little more perfect than I thought. And we're going to sew down that seam. Putting our needle on that line. Here we go. We're going to flip it to the other side. Make sure we're all lined up. Which we could do a little tiny adjusting. Not much. And again, we're going to sew down that line. Going to bring it back over here to our table. But you could do it sitting at your machine. Check it, make sure I'm getting the look I'm looking for, which I am. So, I'm going to eyeball that 1/4 inch seam. I need to get me some new scissors. Eyeball that 1/4 inch seam. Ah, it sticks on me right at the end each time. And we're going to go to the ironing board. I'm going to set those seams and then open them up. I'll cut that off right there. That's no big deal. But look at the back. Isn't that pretty? Okay. And that is going to go in the middle of your block. And then you're going to take your fabric. On mine, it does matter how it sets because it's a tone on tone, but it's got a print on it, and it is a one-way fabric. So I want to make sure mine is facing the right way. If you have a one-way fabric, you want to do the same thing. If you don't, then it doesn't really matter. Just put it on here. There we go. So now we're going to sew this to this, this to this. And we're going to do all 3 rows sideways together.
Woes.
Woes. We're going to do all 3 woes. So, take that. Line it up. How funny it kind of looked lined up when I had it. Okay. And we're going to do that 1/4 inch seam. I'll get that one started. Then I'm going to make sure I got it lined up. There we go. You see it goes like that. I'm going to go ahead and do this one on this side. You can see it needs to move up just a tiny. And that's where I had that little bitty tail hanging off. I'm going to do my 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to set the seam at my ironing board. And I'm going to open that up. Set the seam. And open it up. And I'm going to check the back because I like to make sure my seams are all laying down and looking pretty. Now on this one, you probably want to pay a little bit of attention because see, I've got my seam going out. On these, I want my seam probably to go in, so I don't have a bulky seam. Now we're doing the next row, and we're going to sew this to this and this to this. And when you do that, you're going to make sure your points are lined up with your points in the center piece to the side pieces, okay? So I'm going to flip that over, and there's two ways that you can do that, and I'm going to show them both to you. One of them, you can take, if you see where you sewed your seam, there's a little X there. You can put your pin in through that X, check it, and make sure it's right on the point. If it's not, then you don't have it in the right place. See? Right on the end of that point. And then you can put it on the end of this point and put them together, which gives you a really good match, and that's probably going to be the best way to do it. Another way to do it, my way, may not be the best way. I'll just bring it here, and you see the point there and the point there, and I line up my points that way, and then I pin it. So do whatever works nicely for you, because it's about making life easy. Then we're going to line it up, and we're going to do our 1/4 inch seam. As always, when you get over here, I'll lift my foot and make sure that seam lays down. Pull the pin out. I don't want to damage my machine. And just go right over that baby. Okay, and then if you look at it, my points are right there pointed together. Should they be touching? Mm-hmm. They should be touching?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if the other one works out that way. Okay, this is where I had that little dog ear hanging over, and I'm going to cut part of that off. Part of it's just going to go into the seam, and you will never see it. Again, I'm going to match point to point. And I'm going to pin that. And that almost just doesn't look like it's going to work out, but it will. Because one looks a little bit bigger. Sometimes, in that case, I'm going to do it here, pin it. I'm going to do it here, because we know that my cutting is very accurate, because I wouldn't make a mistake, now would I, ladies? And then we're going to match up that point right there. And that's a pretty big gap. What do you think about that? Oh, no, I think it's fine. I think it's just fine. Then we're going to start with our 1/4 inch seam. There we go. Pull that one pin out. Want to make sure that seam is laying flat when I go over it. Lift it again. I don't want it moving. There we go. Now let's see what that one looks like. Just a tiny off. So I would actually undo that and fix that, because it's a little bit off, and all you got to do is rip that seam and move it over. Okay, I'm back, and I ripped out my seam and I sewed it back together. And some of you know that I'm not always a really fussy quilter. Some mistakes, I just let them go and move on. But if you just take a few minutes, and it doesn't take a lot of time to do it right, you come out with a much better product. Not to mention, I want to be a little bit fussy when I'm matching up points, and I want it to look good when I send it to my partner. So I redid that, and as you can see, it's better. On this side, all I did to bring it a little bit closer, I didn't rip it out. I just came a little bit over. As you can see, my 1/4 inch seam, for some odd reason, was a little bit lacking. But it is fixed, and I feel better about it, because if you're getting my block, you'll be happy I went through the trouble. Off to press. Now, I brought my first row over here because I wanted to remind you that my seams went out on that. So because these rows are going to be put together, we want to make sure these seams go in so we don't have too much bulk. Setting the seams, too much bulk when we put it together, which is not really pretty. Set the seam, and I want it to go to the inside, so I'm just going to do the back real quick. Then I'll come back and do the front to make sure it does right. Seems a little, okay, let's press that out. Let's press that out. And then let's check the back and make sure it looks okay, which needs a little help right there. Turned it up right there. And then that looks good. So you see when I match up the seams, and you can't hardly see the seams on this one. That one's going out, this one's going in. Okay, hey, I'm back. And I went ahead and sewed the bottom row, which was the same as the top row, no big deal. And I'm ready to sew my rows together. Oh, but wait a minute. It looks like it's right, doesn't it? Because it will fool the eye. But remember, we want these points facing in, and that one is going out. But that would be real easy to sew together wrong. So please pay attention and make sure you've got your points going in. It does make a difference, okay? Changes the look of the block, because now, see, we've got the star pattern, and with it like that, we would not have that, okay? So I'm gonna put it correct. Look at my beautiful star. Okay, now we have our block straight, and I'm going to flip it on top, because we're going to do right sides together as always, and bring it over here and get it ready for sewing. Now we do have some matching to do, and it's important that we do that. One of the most important seams is going to be this one, that we're going to want these points to match. So again, I'll just use the needle method and see how that works out for me. That didn't work out good at all. Okay, you can use the needle method. I'm going to use this method and just put my points together. And I'm going to put a pin right there. And then I've got to match up these seams. So I'm going to nest the seams right there. And you can see how good that looks with the seams going in the different direction. And I'm going to pin that. And then I'm going to do this thing. And that one's a little hard to nest because of the colors. That black on black. Oh, there we go. Let's work it that way. Nest those seams. And I'm going to put a pin in. And because it's a pretty long sew, you don't have to, but I'll put a pin midway here, and over here I'll put a pin on the end, or midway. You don't have to, but it's a long seam and I like to do that. But that's up to you, that's your preference. Okay, we're going to do our 1/4 inch seam. Here we go. And isn't this relaxing? No stress, fun to do.
No 1/4 inch foot.
No, oh looky there, you're right, I don't have a 1/4 inch foot, but guess what? I can still do a 1/4 inch seam without it, because there's my 1/4 inch mark. And all you got to do is line up your fabric there. But you might want to have switched back to your 1/4 inch foot. Don't want to run over a needle. That's something I'm not into. Make sure my fabric lays down straight. And then gently go over that. And did you see how that fabric bunched? I did, and I'll have to check that. I may have to redo that seam. Right there, but I'm going to keep going and then I'll just go back and look at it and see if I need to redo that seam. Oh yeah, here's my disclaimer, I'm no expert. Let's see what it looks like. So we could just bring it in a little bit. So really, the only way to fix that, when I got down here it bunched up, and if you'll look at that, you'll see, look, here's your 1/4 inch, and you'll see that that seam went short on me right there. So I'm going to line up with my seam, and then I'm going to go back and just re-sew it. But I'm going to make sure I get that 1/4 inch in there this time. At least, I hope I did. It's bunching because there's a lot of stuff there. But that's an easy fix. Okay. We're going to take it to the ironing board. And at this point, it really doesn't matter which way you go on your seams. So I'm going to go where I have the less problems, the less seams, which is going to be this way. By the way, I've really already made all my blocks. This will be extra in case I need it. Rick's made his. We just cut out an extra one to show you how to do it. And then I'm back making sure my point is up and I still have my star. And then you're going to do the exact same thing again. You're going to line up those seams. Well, that don't look right. Anyhow, you're going to line up your point, and you're going to line up the seams. Go over here and do this other seam. Oh, what's wrong with my dress? Yeah, I like to wear a dress around the house. I find it comfy. I know most people don't like dresses, but I do. Seam lined up. Now let's go back and see if we can match those points. Put a pin in there. Would you like to check that, dear?
Mm-mm.
Y'all, Rick's really good. I tried to get him to do this class. He is really good at this. He's actually better than me, and he's a lot of help to me. So thank you, Rick Lowe.
You're welcome.
Okay, here we go. We're going to do that 1/4 inch seam. Oh,
Your foot.
I'll switch it and put on my 1/4 inch foot, which I really don't need it. But maybe I'll do better with it. I really don't think I do, but hey. At this point, we're going to make sure all the seams are laying down right. There's my little pin cushion, which really isn't a pin cushion, but how handy. Seams are nested. Now here we go. It went off the 1/4 inch mark last time. Let's see if we can keep it there this time. We want that seam to lay down. There we go. See, it bunched again, and it's because it's quite a bit of fabric, and I may have to go back, and I'm sure I will. And that's okay. I'll make sure that seam is laying down.
Sometimes I've had to grab the fabric on the back and just tug it a little bit to give it a help getting
Yeah.
through the feed dogs aren't going to pull it good enough.
You're right. You're right. I've had to do that too. Didn't occur to me here. Okay. Let's go back and look at that seam. Yeah, you can see that I went smaller with it, so let's go back and redo that. See if we can. Here we go. I didn't even look at the other side, and honestly, I don't have to, because I know that wasn't a 1/4 inch seam and it's not going to work. And I'm having trouble seeing my seam. I'm using a gray thread, and it blends in pretty well. There we go. See, we went back and just made sure I had that 1/4 inch seam, and it did well. Let's take it to the ironing board and press. We're gonna set that seam. Y'all get tired of hearing me say that every block? We're gonna set that seam, and then we're gonna open it up. And let me tell you something, this block is really pretty. I want you to take a look at it, and it's why you've got to really pay attention and make sure you got it set right. Because look at the star you have in here, that's so pretty. And it doesn't matter how you turn it, your star is there. And let's look at the back. I'm going to fix that a little bit because I like my seams to look good on the back. And there you have it. This is the Sunrays block number 4. If you have any questions or you need to know anything else, am I yelling? We do that in my family a lot. The women do, the men don't. We're loud. If you have any questions or you need to know anything, just message me, okay? Bye, ladies.